to drive your business processes improvements. We've got a lot of data for you today. We have a lot of statistics, some information for you to take a look at and learn throughout your organization. At the end, we'll give you an opportunity to email us any comments or questions. We'll certainly follow up and help you to see if we can answer your questions and help improve your business process environment. My name is Dan Andrew. I'm Senior Vice President of Sales for Corcentric, and I've had the opportunity over the last 30 years, hard to believe, but work with many companies in their finance and technology departments to find some ways that really can help innovate their environment to give them a positive ROI in a very rapid time frame and to help them save a lot of money. So I'm excited today to share with you some things that we've learned. We narrowed it down to 6 items today. We could probably make this list 10 or 20, but we decided to narrow it down to about 6 items for you to really take a look at, examine your organization, see how this compares to the areas that you're working with. Again, if you have any questions, you can type them here. As you can see, you can email the questions or type them in from the web broadcast. We'll try to respond to them. We'll follow up with questions, and we'll see if we can go ahead and help you with any questions you might have within your organization. Let's go ahead and get started here. So we jump into the 6 areas today. The first thing I just want to share with you is that when you think about the areas of improvement, many organizations are looking for ways that really can help them improve their business, and many financial executives are trying to focus on strategic initiatives that add more value to their organization. So what we did is we said that when you look at the financing staff and you look at some of the best ways for them to utilize their time, we have found that if you're focusing on areas that are adding more value, then you can take more of a proactive stance. So when you're working on things like preparing your financials or working on your financial reporting, making sure that we're providing you capabilities where we're supporting your business in the decision-making process and allowing you to provide the regulatory compliance, helping you streamline your business, really taking your organization from a paper environment to an electronic, one that improves productivity, reduces your costs. We think that if you process information faster, speed wins in the game of business. We're all in a race. And so if you can improve the speed as well as the quality, which will allow you to improve your opportunity to take advantage of cash discounts, at the end of the day, you're really going to make a difference within your organization. Most of the inefficiencies that we have seen within the accounts payable area, most of them relate to the fact that it's highly manual, and so it's not automated. So less than 25%, as you can see on the screen here, of departments that operate in this environment have a touchless type processing. So the root of the inefficiencies is really a result of lack of streamlined process. We also noticed that over time, and many of our clients share this with us, they have been able to see that the elimination of paper and the improved electronic environment is really the future. And many companies have experienced it today. They're 100% electronic. And for those that are not, you're kind of missing out. You're missing out on an opportunity to really help improve your business. That's the future, and that's today. The future is now, and this is what companies are doing to really make them best in breed. So what are some of the opportunities for you? What are some areas where you can take a look at to help improve the process? As I mentioned earlier, we narrowed this down to 6 items. Again, we could make this 10 or 15 and talk for a couple hours, but we're only going to take 30 or 40 minutes of your time today. So we're going to kind of walk through just a few minutes on each of those items. Our goal for you today is that you walk away with just a couple of different items that say, those are areas that perhaps my organization can improve. Maybe it's an area where you want to take a deeper dive and challenge your organization to find those efficiencies that we're about to share. What's the first opportunity? Well, this is very common. Most of the clients that we talk to, it's number one for a reason, and that is they want to reduce their cost. We are in a competitive environment. Every company that I've dealt with wants to reduce their cost and increase their efficiencies. People are doing more with less today, and the ability to reduce those costs improves your capabilities and your margins within your organization. If your competitor is spending far less than you in accounts payable, and accounts payable is virtually a horizontal department, then that cost really is reducing your competitiveness. So reducing cost is critical for your business. It goes to the bottom line, it affects all the other departments, and it's an area that is of chief concern. Let's take a look at some of the metrics here. If you're fully automated, you can process an invoice in $1.77. Compare that to what we're seeing here for those companies that are not automated, those that are very manual. If you think about that, that's almost a 5 times multiple. So think about if you are fully automated and you are processing invoices at a rate that's, one fraction, a fifth of your competitor. Or if you're a laggard and your company is really not experiencing the opportunity and you're working on a manual-based process, your company is spending 5 times more for every invoice. Think what that does to the bottom line. Think about what that does for your competitive nature. Your team's trying to sell your products and services at a competitive rate, but they need to absorb this cost of processing at a 5 times factor. That's a chief concern for many clients. The other area is that we have seen that most of the AP professionals that are spending their time on a lot of the processes that are less efficient are providing an environment where the process is slow, there's lots of manual activity, there's lots of time spent trying to track down particular documents that are lost or misplaced, trying to resolve discrepancies. All of that translates into slower payments, lost discounts, lost information, all kinds of areas that just continue to trickle down in the organization, where those organizations that are streamlined have such a dramatic improvement compared to the competitors. Think about this on an annualized basis. If you look at a manual AP operation for, let's say you're processing 5,000 invoices a month, you're spending $64,000 compared to those who are highly automated who would be spending $88.50. So if I take the difference here and say, the difference of these two, comparatively speaking, it's a dramatic difference in your organization. So who would want to save that kind of money within their shop? That's the first one. So reducing cost. And again, it's number one for a reason. It's a primary focus of many of the CFOs and controllers that we talk to. It's a combination of all the activities summarized in an expense. And it's an area where companies need to focus and provide that reduction. Streamlines their business and gives them some savings. What's the next area? Well, the second area that we hear a lot about is the productivity of the staff, the people. So how would you like to increase your productivity? How about a company on the left that processes about 2,000 invoices per AP employee? That's the volume that they can do over the course of time. And that's manual. Compared to, let's say you have automation, it's 23,000. So once again, if you think about these metrics and the difference, you're talking about 11.5 times difference where you can process throughput that much greater. Think about the job too. Think about managing 2,000 invoices manually, and think about the job of managing 23,000 with automation. Okay, you're doing far more on the right. You're adding more value. You probably have a better quality of life because it's being offered through a systematic and streamlined process, and you're contributing at a greater factor, 11.5 times to be exact. 2,000 manual invoices where it's a task that is filled with time and inefficiencies, and to me, that is a dramatic difference when you look at the overall cost. We think about option number one there, or item number one, where we want to focus on reducing costs. That translates into the productivity of the staff spending 11.5 times more of a difference when you experience automation. Going along with that includes the reduction of paper. So if you can have less paper in your environment, you're going to have an environment that obviously is more streamlined, and many of those invoices can match the order as they are processed first time through the organization. It's always amazing to me when I think about companies who spend time in their systems when they're ordering a product or service. They've taken time in their system to get the item, the unit, the quantity, ship date, timing, vendor, all those details, and then to not take advantage of it is a waste of a lost opportunity. It's a waste of data that is captured in their system. If there's a way to take that data that your team has created, assuming that you validated it, it's a valid order, which it should be. If not, that's a different process or a different area to challenge. Let's say that the order is correct and it's distributed. The opportunity to match that invoice against that order is far greater. It's greater because it's your data. It's in your systems. You validated it. You spent the time setting that up. Why wouldn't you want to take advantage of the data that you put in your system so that you can produce less paper and that 90% of those invoices would have the opportunity to match against that order on the way back into your company? Top performers know that. They figured that out, and they're making a difference in their organization. They're experiencing the 23,000 invoices per AP compared to the 2,000. They figured it out. They've determined that when you have a higher pass rate, that it allows the opportunity for less errors, it's less people, it's less labor, and it gives you an opportunity to match that information up electronically. So it's better, it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's a much better environment. What about the time? We think about time, and as I mentioned earlier, speed does win. In business, speed wins. We are all in the game in a race of business, and we're all heading towards that finish line as we're trying to capture the most amount of activity and productivity we can experience in the same day. So each of us have a certain amount of time each day where we can contribute, and for those that can compete faster, speed wins many times. We are in a race here. When you think about the cycle times, your ability to process those invoices faster does make a huge difference. And I'm going to share with you some of the reasons why that makes a huge difference. First of all, let's say you are processing invoices and you can't seem to take advantage of a cash discount. Well, there might be fees for late payments, but then there's also that early discount that you missed. So maybe you're paying a penalty and you're missing an early cash discount. When your suppliers are calling and they're asking for those invoices, who has to answer the phone? You have labor, you have cost, you have people, you're answering the phone. Why? Because you haven't helped your supplier with the tools that they need for the visibility. So what happens? Well, the supplier calls. Did you get my invoice? Did you process my invoice? Are there any errors on it? When am I going to get paid? How much am I going to get paid? Will I get paid? All those wonderful questions that you receive. And so when you think about it, you want to provide a solution that allows the opportunity to help your supplier. That gives you the chance to strengthen your relationship with your business partner. The better companies that I have seen have wonderful relationships with their suppliers because they find solutions that give the suppliers tools. They allow the suppliers to take advantage of the visibility. They can see the transaction life cycle. They can see the order. They can see when it was acknowledged. They can see that the invoice was received, that it was processed, that it was matched. They can see receipt visibility. They can see payment status. When you give all that to your supplier, many times your supplier not only is desirous of that information, they'll pay for that function because that's value to them. So they'll pay service providers to provide that value and that information, which allows the buyer to take advantage of the streamlined process at a very reduced rate. So if the buyer can gain that reduced rate, if they can improve the time, they can increase the speed, they can reduce the cost, and improve the productivity, everybody wins. The buyer wins and the supplier wins because you're giving the supplier the opportunity to gain that knowledge and information that they need. It helps them when they sit at the table each year to negotiate the price, the process. You've equipped each one of the components of the business chain that the buyer and the supplier both have the opportunity to see the data, to see the information. And you know what they can do? They can focus on real issues, not the paper and the chasing of the manual process. They can focus on how can they grow their business, which both companies are very interested in. When we look at some of the top performers who process those invoices faster, when we think about speed, it's a very tangible item. It's one that we can show that 29% of the faster processing environments of their purchase orders compared to their peers is a dramatic difference. For those that are processing non-purchase orders and against their invoices, we see that speed wins both times. So you can have a top performing environment where you can process invoices faster. With speed comes the ability to process accurately, because if it's electronic, guess what? You're processing that information perhaps at the speed of light because it's fast, it's electronic, it's integrated. And when you do that, that speed and that accuracy and the systematic evaluation of that data provides an opportunity for a streamlined environment. With that comes fewer errors. So when you think about the speed of those transactions, and we think about the very first item we talked about today, reducing cost and improving productivity with less paper, what happens is, as a result of that, you have fewer errors. What happens when you analyze an accounts payable department and you say, let's take a look at the accuracy and the errors, and let's figure out what some of those symptoms of those organizations, where do they show up in the company? Where do they impact the bottom line? And where do you see that impact to their overall environment within their supply chain and within their suppliers? Well, first of all, if you're not being able to process your invoices timely, maybe there are those late payments or lost opportunities for discounts, that's not really helpful to your supplier now, is it? So you're going to strain that relationship. And again, both companies have an objective to make money, to be efficient, to help each other, to further forge their business relationship. But when you have a strained environment, the focus will be taken off of the real area of opportunity and focused on those manual processes. If the supplier is getting paid at a delinquent timeline, where perhaps they're inflicting penalties or they're issuing charges back to the buyer, that doesn't create for a healthy environment, nor does the opportunity for the buyer who has the chance to take advantage of paying the supplier early. Many times those cash discounts are very favorable to the buyer. Then if the supplier offers them, but the buyer just can't perform, they don't have the speed because it costs them too much. Their productivity is too low and they're dealing with paper and they're slow. All the opposites of everything we're talking about today. When you have the missed cash discount opportunity, that's money that you're leaving on the table because you haven't been able to provide an environment that supports that. With the paper environment, with the lack of productivity and the high cost, you don't have the information available electronically. You're not able to systematically forecast what you're looking for in the future. I'll give you a great example. We have clients today that they'll take a purchase order and they'll send it out electronically, and then we deliver it to their suppliers, however the supplier wants to participate. Let's say it's a popular offering where the supplier likes to use a portal. They'll receive that purchase order, they'll work with the information, they'll press a button, they'll flip that invoice, that purchase order into an invoice, maybe enter invoice number and date, process the invoice electronically, it goes right back into the system, matches against the receipt. That digital transaction is stored. Guess what happens after the payment goes out, hopefully electronically, in our environment it does, goes electronically back to the supplier, and you can see the cash application. So now, the very next time that buyer is ready to issue a purchase order, guess what? We can go back and look at the history to say when you buy from this particular supplier, we know that over time, when you send that order, we can tell you when it's received, we can tell you when it's invoiced, we can tell you when it's shipped, we can tell you when it's paid, we can tell you when cash leaves the door. So how would you like to know in your organization every time there's a purchase order sent, when cash will leave the door? It will provide cash forecasting. So instead of having poor cash forecasting, you can have outstanding cash forecasting, which will increase your profits and allow the opportunity for you to reduce some of your banking fees. So when you do have duplicate or incorrect payments, you get all these negative elements, which does not help your organization. When you think about the process where you can automate the entire transaction that we're talking about, where you're validating the data from the beginning and you're getting rid of all the paper process that is so fraught with errors in time and resource, giving that information available online and allowing those invoices to be processed and validated electronically so that any duplicates are systematically flagged, it gives you the opportunity to improve that relationship between your suppliers, as well as providing data and information that you can study and analyze to improve your process. So how about using those analytics to prevent problems, to see where you have opportunities, instead of creating a reactionary environment. We have seen our clients improve their automation because they've reduced the errors and they've improved each of these environments. So not only have they reduced their cost, but they've increased their productivity. They have less paper. They're processing very fast. And because of that, they have fewer errors. What's the last and final item that we wanted to talk about as we're getting ready to kind of get close to our time here today? The last area we wanted to talk about is the opportunity to increase your bottom line. In this case, it's about capturing more cash discounts. Think about the economic value that suppliers are offering to you as a buyer. Let's just say that they're willing to pay, they're willing to have terms in net 30 days, but they're willing to offer a cash discount for early payment of 2% in 10 days. So if you're willing to pay that supplier in 10 days, you're paying them 20 days sooner, right? And 20 days sooner over the course of a year there are 180 cycles, or 18 cycles of the 20 days sooner, which calculates to about a 36% APR. So who would want to make 36% on their investment today, just by doing something you normally would do, but you're doing it sooner? So it's the same process. You're just paying less, and you're paying it sooner. So if you can process with less errors, faster, without paper, you will improve your productivity and you will reduce your costs. We have seen that many clients who have this automated environment, who are fully automated, they take advantage of almost every cash discount available. In fact, 97% of those companies in the peer group that we've looked at have been able to take advantage of the cash discounts because they have fully automated their process. So when you're thinking about your ROI in your company, and you're thinking, can we process an invoice in 10 days? I think those companies that are not electronic, that are not able to take advantage of the electronic purchase order to match it up internally, systematically, their average days is about 16 days. So the average number of days to process an invoice at 16 does not afford you the opportunity to take advantage of the cash discounts. So when you look at the slide and you say, why is it that some companies who have some automated processes are, almost twice as good as those that are manual, but how come they're not fully automated? Well, the biggest gap there, if you look at this is a 76% difference between some automation and full automation. So if you've partially been able to work in your supply chain to get some discounts, your opportunity is so much greater if you can fully automate your process. Because if you can fully automate your process, look at the difference. You're dramatically improving the ability and the portion of discounts that you can take advantage of, almost 5 times. So it's a significant difference. We think about all of these items with our clients, and we think about how companies are able to take advantage of cash discounts and reduce their errors and improve the speed with less paper and increase productivity and a reduced cost. And we talk to them about how they can make this a reality. So what we like to do is we like to help companies and evaluate some of their processes and their solutions to say, is there a technology platform that can really provide those capabilities for your company? And the good news is there is. Corcentric certainly can do that. We've done this with many companies over many years, and we have streamlined organizations to achieve the 6 items that we talked about today. There's really no reason in your company today, there's no reason that you should be processing paper. You should not be processing a paper check. You should not be processing a paper invoice. There's no reason. The technology's there, the solution's there, the capabilities are there, and being able to incorporate those features and functions within your department gives you that opportunity to take advantage of the technology platform. You can streamline your environment. You can improve your flow of the data, which gives you opportunities to take advantage of technology solutions that are designed in the marketplace to achieve that, which helps your suppliers, it helps your team members. Your employees like it. It's a better environment. It's more electronic. It's more streamlined. And you're able to work with companies like Corcentric, where we can work with you, and we've experienced the traps and pitfalls that we've seen so many companies go through. So just for the fact that we've worked with literally hundreds or thousands of companies over the years. One of the institutional knowledges that we'll bring to your company is, as we analyze your department, we'll very quickly tell you, here are the opportunities for you. When we analyze your data, we take a look at the environments that you have and your processes, very quickly we can tell you, here's an opportunity for you for an improvement. Here's a guaranteed way to help you with an ROI. If we can't help you, we will tell you. We've looked at some companies and we've said, we can help you, but there are things that you're going to need to do to kind of work with us to provide information analysis, like letting us analyze your supplier data. And when you allow that, and when you provide us the capabilities and the analysis to study your information, very quickly we can determine whether your suppliers are already participating in a network. Maybe they're already participating in an electronic model for payment. Maybe they're participating in portals for entering invoices, or maybe they're highly electronic data interchange capable. When you use a third party, that's something you can't gain within the four walls of your organization. You'll never know that until you let a company analyze your spend, analyze your data, analyze your metrics, look at it, and come back with a blueprint that says there are ways to reduce your cost and increase your productivity with less paper and a faster pace with less errors, and allowing you to take advantage of the cash discounts. Our conclusion is that if you have the opportunity to really study your environment, I would encourage you to think about your accounts payable department today and ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself, is our cost competitive? How much does it cost us to process an invoice? Do we know? Have we measured that? Have we benchmarked it? Have we looked at the best-in-class companies? Are we processing less than $3? Because if you're not, you're missing out. What about your productivity? Are your team members being able to contribute at the highest percentage in regard for themselves and for you as your organization? Walk around your office. Is there much paper? Do you see a lot of paper invoices? Do you see any disbursements of paper checks? Do you watch transactions that are processed that are rapid and streamlined, or are they slow? Are you missing out on the speed opportunities? Do you have issues where there are departmental questions between procurement and between the supplier and maybe shared services and accounting? Do you have those questions for discrepancies and errors? That's always an indicator for us that you're eliminating the efficiency that you could gain. You need to reduce the amount of time and the effort spent on those areas. So if you have fewer errors, you're not really spending a lot of time that you're wasting chasing down inefficiencies. So do you have an environment where you're able to eliminate the time and the effort that it takes for tracking down those questions and the discrepancies within your organization? Do you have strategic objectives in your company? If you look at your accounts payable department, are you part of the strategic footprint? Are you part of a plan that says our department is going to add value in even a greater way within our company? Not only are we going to improve our process by reducing our cost, increasing the speed at which we process with less errors and less paper and higher productivity, we're also going to take advantage of cash discounts. And you know what else we're going to do? We're going to convert from a cost center to a profit center. How about if you did that? How about if you looked at your environment and said, what we want to do is we want to shift away from the cost that we are causing within our company to contributing to a profit center so that we can become a more efficient and more effective partner within the organization. I've seen it. I've seen companies go from the red to the black. I've seen them take AP departments that are costing money to coming back to say, you know what, we're contributing to the bottom line. What a transformation. How would you like to be part of that wonderful transformation within your organization? Because I'm telling you, it can be done. We're helping companies do it. I've seen it. I've lived it. I've watched it. And we certainly hope that that's something we can help you with today as well. Here's the last slide. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, or if you'd like to learn more, we'd be happy to talk to you. Here's my contact information, my phone number, or my email. What we'd really invite you to do today, I'd encourage you to think about letting us analyze your spend, because the analysis is free, but the results are priceless. So when you have the opportunity to share with us your data, we are experts in this area. We can study it very quickly, and we can tell you, here's where you have opportunities. If your office is completely streamlined and you're perfect, We look at it, and we can't help you. We'll certainly tell you, we'll congratulate you, but we'll take the opportunity to study the data. So as I close here today, I just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to share with you some information about how we might be able to help your company reduce your costs and increase your productivity with less paper at a faster rate, with less errors, and take advantage of those cash discounts. We can really make that a reality, and we'd be delighted to talk with you further. Thanks again for your time today, and I look forward to streamlining your accounts payable department.